Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh overview. Today let's take a quick look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary Toad. Now at the time of the original waves of Toy Biz, Spider-Man Classics, and Marvel Legends, I was hardcore Star Wars. 3 3/4 inch, completist, mint on card. That completely went out the window once I got the Spider-Mans and then Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man. Bigger scale, opening up, playing with them, and not completist because I looked at Toad and thought, well, that doesn't quite match the rest of them. Nah, I don't need it. And then here we are today. 20 years later, I'm finally going to add a Toad to my collection. Looking at the package, it's an homage to that original packaging. It's not quite as sturdy. Well, okay, the double layered cardboard sandwiching the blister in between, it's sturdier than what we saw with like stuff like this, the G.I. Joe Retro series. It's flimsy, it's just a card on front. Yeah. It's not the hermetically sealed time capsule of the original figures. Remember trying to open them in the Toys R Us parking lot? You had to stash a knife in your car because it was impossible otherwise. On the back, same design. It shows the figure, has the logos. Warning, small parts. Don't put that sexy tongue in your mouth. Or the smaller hands. Those are probably more dangerous. Like I said, it's sandwiched between the cardboard, so it's very hard to rip off. Some people say there's a... Oh, well. Right down here. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Yes, I did. Flip away this panel, which is kind of neat because you recognize that. That's also stamped, come here, also stamped onto this base with foot pegs and then a slot in the back. That is for the background. Got some nice artwork that's reminiscent of the original base, but if you don't like that, you can flip it around and get a comic cover, you know, with the Emerald Witch. Put that there and then have it on the shelf. Figure standing, whatever you want to do. And right off the bat, this is not going to be everyone's exact representation of Toad. This is more the 90s thinned down version, made a slightly cooler, I guess? More dynamic, maybe? The original was shaped much more like a Toad. I am good with this direction, the thinner look, but there's a lot new going on here. I'm thinking the arms are reused because of the pins. That seems to be the buzzword these days. I am cool with pin visible, the pinless look, which we see down here at the knees, but at the same time, I'm playing with toys. The pins can disappear, but we still have cuts here, and cuts here, and cuts here, and cuts here, and cuts here. And you still see the articulation, it's just less obvious. Now, when it comes to Spider-Man's, when there's a different color here than there is here, yes, give me the pin visible all day. And I won't gripe once everything moves to pin visible, but I'm not really that put off by mixing and matching. Looks like the torso is new, and while it's not the original Toad big and broad, it's not muscular either. It has a slight belly to it. Well, you can also articulate that out if you want to make it just a skinny look. The legs have some wrinkles up here at the top, going to here, more wrinkles around the knee. And I'm thinking that's because he's bent all the time. You know, he's in the crouch position. Looks like the feet are also new. First glance, I thought, is that Green Goblin or a goblin of some kind? But I don't have the newer Green Goblin, so I can't compare. Then the dangle gesture type things, those are a separate piece around the ankle. And it's made of a softer material, so even if it's pushed all the way down, it doesn't get in the way of ankle articulation. But if it does get in the way, you can push it up a little. Same thing for the hands, separate piece around it, and the fist may be reuse. Again, kind of jester costume. This is a separate piece, going to get out of the way of the arm articulation. It is, I think it's pegged. Yeah, there's a peg right there. So while you can pull this up and look at everything, it doesn't come completely off. And then one last new overlay, there is a belt. Has that leather look to it, painted silver for the buckle. Comes all the way around. Separate piece, will float, so you can put it where you want it. Color-wise, I love the pastel lavender, and that's just a nice contrast to the yellowish orange of the bodysuit. But because this is 20th anniversary and it's a higher price point, we have some shading down in the wrinkles and the musculature. On the back too, ooh, spoiling us. Same thing in the heavy wrinkles down around the legs. I don't think there's anything to the lavender. It kind of looks like it every now and then, but I think that's just shadow. Then there's the head, kind of playful, a lot of evil. That definitely comes through. I have the printing process. It helps the teeth stand out a bit, the darkness around the eyes, the pupils, the iris, everything's just punched in nicely. Little shading to the skin gives them a dirty look, I guess. And then there's also a wash to the hair to bring out the details up there. Another big tell as far as new parts go is the articulation scheme. There's a dumbbell joint mid-torso with a hinge below that. I think like we've been seeing with Power Rangers, is it? And then there's a drop down hip to give extra kick forward. The neck is also a separate piece, which most of the time would be a ball, but on mine at least, I have no movement to it. Can't turn it. Just seems glued there to make it flesh-colored plastic or something. Oh, and then there's butterfly forward and back. But then it has a traditional Marvel Legends ball on top of a hinge. And there, because of the shape of the head, how wide it is, and then the hair hanging down in the back, it gets in the way. You try to hinge back and you can only get so far, and there's not a super amount of tilt. So while the body is meant to get deep crouches, you can't get the head to look up as much as you want it to. Don't get me wrong, it still does a pretty good job, but the deeper you go, the less it can look forward. In fact, for some of the pictures, I've been popping this, kicking this back, and then just sitting it up on top. Just enough for the ball to catch the socket and stay on, but not all the way down. But since we're talking articulation, might as well show range of articulation. There's up, down, little tilt, left and right. Butterfly joint goes back and forward. Pin coming out to the shoulder goes all the way around. Rubbery piece gets out of the way. Hinge at the shoulder comes up to 90. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow comes, all the way. Swivel at the wrist with the hinge in and out. Dumbbell itself gets back and forward. Tilt, 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 tilt. And then rotation. Then the hinge below doesn't have a super amount of movement, but it helps a little bit. Actually, if you go there and then shift that forward, you can give even more gut. Like I said, drop down to the hip, gets the leg up to here, back, out, got a little flex to that peg right there. Not quite 90, but damn close. Swivel at the thigh, double knee. Do you know what happens when a toad kicks his own ass? The same thing as other figures that can kick their own. Hinge at the ankle goes way back, way forward, front facing pin for rocker. For accessories, you can pop the hands out. Be careful because gone, carpet monster. It's fairly large, but hey, you never know. With that, you get a set of splayed out hands, just a bit more dynamic when jumping around, crouching, whatever. For alternate head, you can pop that off, and you get the tongue head. Wouldn't even fit in frame, gotta zoom out. I like how it adds to the figure. It's a different color, there's some red to the scheme now, and you get some movement from it. Like if he's leaping back or something, there's some flow to it. And then he comes with two tiny little toads. They're actually pretty nice sculpts and paint with the lightness underneath, like a toad, and the eyes punched in. We'll be great friends. Toad seems smaller, but is actually 6 inches exact up to the top of the head. So not as small as you think when you compare them to the Marvel Legends Magneto or Quicksilver. Yeah, there's some mods to the Magneto, and we need a green Quicksilver now. You know, to fit in with other Brotherhood members like Mastermind or Scarlet Witch. And we need a new Blob, too. But against the rest of the 20th anniversary wave, Toad comes off as the most dynamic looking. He jumps out at you. Pun not intended. It is so nice to finally get a Toad to add to the Evil Mutant shelf. And I appreciate that Hasbro put a lot of work into this to make it Toad-like. With the dumbbells and the drop downs and the extra range, you can get down into nice crouches. But it could go more, and I can't believe I'm asking for this because I rarely do, but I would have liked to seen toes on this, just to get them even more crouchy. Bypassing that, the neck range needs to be fixed a bit. It's just too bunchy in the back. But that's the design. That's hard to work around when you gotta use plastic, you know, and not real hair or skin or flesh or muscle, all that. Then there's also the price, which seems high for the size of figure you're getting here. Yeah, the height itself may be almost up to the rest of them, but then there's the thinness. It feels like you're not getting as much plastic as with the rest. Price seems to be a big talking point these days about all Hasbro lines, so that just comes with the territory at this point. If you're patient, there are sales going on. I got this for $27 at GameStop. They were running something last weekend, and then to get free shipping, I added on the Iron Man I wasn't originally going to get. So there's deals to be had. You just gotta do what you gotta do. But if you enjoyed this overview, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. Wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. Little custom potential, hopefully. I've been holding on to this Power Rangers figure for a while, in the hopes of making a Puppet Master. This alternate head, yes, it's very Toad, but if I shave off the hair and sculpt a bald head up on top, it might have that same kind of creepy grin that I always remember seeing on Puppet Master. I don't know, I'd have to do something.